Welcome to Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and with me, as always, is Katie and Kyle. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. What I'm planning to do after the podcast is, in case anyone else is as excited as I am, for the Ray Donovan movie. It's out today.
Oh, I want to watch that series, so it's a good series.
It's incredible. I signed up for the Showtime, a 30-day free trial of Showtime. I signed up for it to watch Dexter New Blood and started watching Ray Donovan. I had originally avoided it because I assumed with him being like a fixer in LA that I wouldn't like it for some reason. But they're from Boston. My brother owns a boxing gym, so I guarantee you'll like it, Ryan.
I want to see it. I do want to see it. It's on my ever-growing queue of TV shows to watch before this life is over. All right, Kyle, what's up with you? How you doing?
I wish I was dead.
All right.
I'm okay.
Well, I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you guys agreed to kind of keep up a regular schedule of recording. It's, since I've been home, we've been doing kind of weekly, and I really appreciate you guys coming on, taking time out of your busy day. We are live on Discord. I think Discord has worked out really well. We've had different faces and some familiar faces come in while we're live. Today, we have Louise again join on Discord, and we have a new one, Donald. He's newish to Discord, but this is his first time watching the show live, so he gets to... He doesn't have to wait. He doesn't have to wait for the edit. Doesn't have to wait for nothing. He gets to be live with us. And if people want, they can join our Discord. It's free. You get to watch us live. You get to join the discussion live with your texts or your questions. I don't trust you enough to have you on camera or on voice just yet, but build that trust with some legit comments and stuff. We'll see what happens for the season finale. That's how it works. Louise had to pay his dues. You know what I mean? So we welcome both of you guys to the live discussion today.
I'm sorry, could we officially name everyone who's muted on this Skid Row?
Love it. Skid Row. So yeah, when you come join the discussion,
like it.
Yeah, when you join the discussion, you're on Skid Row. I love it. So Doug came in. He's like, I don't know how to use this. I don't know how to go in Discord. So Doug, he's so bad at Discord that he's not even on Skid Row. He doesn't even know how to enter the gym. He doesn't even know how to open the door. So
you have not used Discord with your...
Yes, I have used Discord with Doug. He's just being a...
Oh.
He's just...
Oh.
Yeah. When we did when we did the recording of Cobra, we recorded on Discord. So, anyways, we love you, Doug. I know you're listening, and he hates my jokes. Okay. Well, Katie, you've got some mail?
I do.
All right.
We do. This one, we have one from UK Dave. It is titled Some Michael B. Balance. He says, hey guys, great to have you back and happy you had a safe return home, Ryan. Wow, that 4 months flashed by. Did it?
Yeah, I guess for him it did.
He says, so I wanted to offer some Michael B. balance to the proceedings. Ooh, proceedings. First off, my thoughts on, is he a good actor? Well, I think he is. I watched him on an episode of House, playing a blind man facing the possibility of losing his hearing. Remember thinking that he was awesome in such an early role. He was believable in such a tough role, and urge you guys to check it out when you can. Ryan, I'm pleased you dislike Black Panther because despite its worldwide praise, I thought it was one of the weaker Marvel films. I guess we are in the minority, but I don't sweat the majority. But again, I thought he was good in that too. And that's really something when you consider he was up against the great Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. My other thought, why is he so unlikable in Creed, less so in Creed 2? I think his character was written to come across cocky and brash deliberately, completely the opposite of the main man we all love in Rocky. And I think that as a character journey to him becoming more likable across the two films. I will give him a pass for the hospital scene because of his raw emotion after the fight and him hitting out. They say we always hurt the ones we love most. It will be interesting to see how he is in the third film. Anyways, that's my hot take on the subject. Be good to hear your thoughts. Keep punching, UK Dave. P.S. Now, it's been a while since I saw the two fights, but in the Rocky 3 montage at the start of the film, doesn't Clubber hit his opponent whilst he is on his knees, but doesn't get DQ'd, but Victor hits Adonis when he is down and does? If I've remembered that right, why isn't Clubber DQ'd? Any thoughts? Kyle, maybe you have an answer. Thanks.
I think we did mention that. I don't know if it was edited out, but...
I'm sure we did. Yes, there was that opening montage in Rocky 3.
what Clever did was DQ worthy. He should have got DQ'd. I think it was just they put it in the montage and didn't care. I think our apologetic explanation was it was such a low-level fight, they just said, okay, whatever. Rocky actually, in the very, very first fight of the whole series against Spider Rico, also hit Spider Rico when he was down.
Right.
So, but it's that church fight where no one cares, right? Granted, Clubber's fight was much more high level than that, but I think that's the official explanation. But you're correct. It's clearly, oh shit, I already messed up my us. I'm like, it's
Stop it. Don't worry about it. Just, I will edit that later. It's.
I know. I just thought I'd make fun of myself a little bit. It's an error in the movie for sure.
I guess I assumed it was like to ensure that we saw Clubber as this menacing, really mean.
Right. Hey, for all we know, he got disqualified. I guess he could have got disqualified for that fight. We just never hear about it. The idea of during that montage was it was showing Clubber rise to the rank, showing his brutality. It was done in almost like a comic book superhero way of this villain, destroying his opponents, kicking them when they're down. But we know the Creed films, well, actually, Rocky V onward reset the universe to be a little bit more realistic. It's more realism. The Rocky VI fight was more real. Even the Street fight was like a little bit more realistic. Street beating. The fights became more realistic, so it only makes sense that Creed 2 in 2018, we have a legit, you can't hit the guy when he's down. This is a disqualification. And it's a good way to write, how does he lose without still be, still champ, but there's a rematch coming, right? And also regarding his thoughts on on Adonis as a character being unlikable, I get it. Like, I understand. I think that's where the gray area comes in as a viewer. We do analyze these movies deeply, of course. So that's where is it his acting? It's like we don't see a lot of movies where Sly is an a-hole. I'm not saying that that's what Michael B is. That's not what I'm getting at. But there's a part of... I've seen enough movies, and you guys too, and I've followed a lot of careers of certain actors and actresses where a little bit of their personality just seems to come in through the movies, regardless of what they're in. They just seem to be them still in some way or another. And I'm not saying Sly is Rocky-like in every aspect, but I think there's a lot of Sly in Rocky. And I think there's a lot of Sly in Rambo. Like, a lot of him is still in those roles, and that's why he does them so well. I think anytime you can be yourself more, it's obviously easier to act. Now, I'm not saying that's what Michael is. I'm just saying I wonder how likable Michael is outside of the film industry. I'm just curious. We will never know. But anyone that knows Michael, I wonder if there's
Usually celebrities gain kind of a reputation over time.
Sure.
Like some are known to be, for instance, this is an extreme example, but Steven Seagal is known to be extremely unlikable.
Yes, he is.
Like, both to work with, both at restaurants, in any situation, right? Another extreme example is Keanu Reeves is known to be extremely likable.
Right.
And most people are somewhere in the middle. There is kind of a trope out there that people who play assholes in movies are nice in real life type of thing. I'm trying to think of examples of that.
There's stuff you hear about that too. Yeah.
I think it's fun to play the villain. Mm-hmm. But if I had to guess, this is the thing. Michael B's dad is known to be a bit of a dick. So
is his dad famous? Who's his dad?
Well, his dad's a great basketball player.
You almost had me there. But his dad is not known to be a nice guy. So I wonder if the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It doesn't mean that Michael B was also not a nice guy, but...
He could be the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. But you don't hear about him being nice, though.
From what I've heard, again, this is just the little intel that I have. The stories I've heard aren't nice, but maybe those are just the stories we're hearing. Okay. All right. So thank you, UK Dave, for that email.
I did want to comment on the acting only because, well, not only... So since UK Dave brought it up, and also we did talk a little bit about, we were inquiring about Michael B's acting, and I had vowed to watch some of his other movies.
That's right.
I did watch Fruitvale Station, which was also directed by Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
No.
I don't know why. I thought it was going to be different than it was. As an example, Octavia Spencer is in it. And Kyle, you kind of alluded to this when we talked, and then Dave brought up that he's with Chadwick Boseman, but there were also a number of other really, really strong actors. I think that's what I've come to is that Michael B. Jordan has had the privilege of sharing the screen with some extremely heavy hitters, really top of their game actors, and therefore he is overshadowed. I also don't think that he's that great, but especially put next to someone like Octavia Spencer or Sylvester Stallone or Chadwick Boseman. Like, these are people that, even if Michael's supposed to be the star, he doesn't maybe get the credit that the star would, but another more worthy actor would be able to hold their own with someone like that.
Well, and not only is he besides Stallone, this is Stallone's backyard. This is what made Stallone. This is Stallone's universe. That's an extremely challenging task. I agree.
All right, next letter. Thank you, UKDA, by the way.
We have one from Hector. This is called Happy New Year. Just listened to episode 11, working overtime and not going to the gym. I'm really behind on my podcasts, but started working out again, and it feels comforting in a way to hear all three of you as I go on my hour jogs. Nice. An hour? That's kind of a long time. Good for you, Hector.
Yeah, that's a good run.
A semblance of getting back to normal. Katie, wow, you pointed out the mistake that millions have looked over and never noticed. Women, typical. Exactly. I mean, there are reasons that we're around other than what you guys might think. He says, I'm joking. I'm jealous I never noticed it, and I've watched it many times over. Good catch. If I may make a comment, with the scene in which Rocky turns off the TV after Adonis gets knocked out and hurt, I think it shows that Rocky has PTSD. And now the comment he made during that conversation with Adonis, he broke things in me that ain't never been fixed, has a deeper meaning. It's not just physical, but probably more mental and or emotional. Great to hear you guys, again, keep punching. Hector Canales.
Wrestler.
Pretty sure Brian and I assumed that, and Kyle, you were on the wrong side of that one.
You were saying 80 to 90% of it was physical, and very little had to do with an emotional. I'm going with broken inside. Yes.
I don't recall that, but I can see myself saying that. I'm not gonna dispute that. I still don't know. I think that's plausible, though. I still don't get that emotional vibe, but granted, okay, I'm still gonna stay there. That's not what Rocky meant by when he said that. However, I do think Rocky has PTSD. I think he has more PTSD from Apollo dying than from that fight itself. Like, I think the decision not to throw the towel. We do get a different perspective in the recut for Rocky, mind you, but even so, I think that's kind of more of his issue, and less with the beating he took from Drago, because Rocky has taken many of beatings before. I don't know how much PTSD he gets from that necessarily. But I think losing his friend like that and him having a hand in it somehow would cause some pretty serious emotional trauma.
Okay. All right. So that was from Hector, our favorite wrestler. And from UK Day, thanks, guys. If you want to send us an email and give us some talking points or just share your thoughts for the show to hear, gtdwithrr@gmail.com. Also, join us on Discord Live and share your comments there. And the description of Discord will be in the show notes, as well as our Patreon channel. Again, we appreciate those patrons who support the show financially. It helps pay for the feed for the Last of the Action Heroes podcast. Just, again, we're busking here. We appreciate the support. It's a nice way to say, hey, thanks, guys, for all you do. Okay, well, I guess without further ado, let's continue our journey in the Creed 2 film discussion. Rocky has left the building. He's left the hospital. No fight with Drago. I guess you could say in theory a fight has happened. It wasn't on the film. But it did get filmed, but it never got into the film, if that makes sense. So it's kind of weird to think that there's a universe where Rocky and Drago fought in the lobby, but we don't see it in this film. So here we go. So let me know if you can't hear it, guys, when I started here. Okay, here we go. Adonis is being wheeled out. His face looks pretty beaten up. It's kind of a melancholy music playing there, and they're about to go outside to meet the press, and Bianca turns around and hands him sunglasses to cover up his eyes.
Don't they have a private exit or something that he could take?
I would think so, but again, it's kind of it's a
I
film
know,
trope.
we need this. Yeah. We need this part of the, yep.
I'm feeling empathy for him in this scene big time.
Sure.
I'd be so embarrassed to see these people, especially in a wheelchair. This shows how badly I was beaten. It's a reminder to everyone how badly I was beaten, that I can't even walk out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And I would be afraid of their questions they'd ask me, because I don't like the answers to them, right? I feel really bad for him here.
Did you feel like you carried that bum for 3 rounds?
Do I look lucky?
Oh, there's the first question. Do you really feel like a champ? Do you think you deserve to keep the belt?
That's their job to ask those questions, and they're good questions. When you're a sports figure like that and you get paid the big bucks, you have to face the scrutiny because your job is to essentially entertain people. Boy, would that suck to hear that from someone as you're trying to go home.
Indeed. It reminds me of a Tupac song. I actually have my Tupac shirt on now, but I've always thought that too I wouldn't necessarily want to be famous.
You won't be as a host of this show. Don't worry about it. We'll never be famous, but continue.
I would take money without the fame. And essentially that's what Tupac says, money, F the fame. He doesn't say F.
What, Tupac swears? What kind of rapper is he?
Yeah.
The other two questions are, is this it for Adonis Creed, and why did you even take the fight? It's a fair question.
All perfectly good questions.
They ask the tough questions to get their questions out there. Of course, no response. But yeah, fair questions from the media, which that's their job, is to rattle the cage.
I don't think they show that. I'm positive they don't. But if you really wanted to make this more of a 21st century, 2020 or whatever year this film is, 2018, I guess, having something showing on social media, everything that's being written on there, like you see tweets about him from sportscasters or Facebook posts or something on Reddit or whatever.
Yeah, they'd be out.
I feel this press is really old school. Of course they still exist. This could still happen today. It would be neat if they had that social media thing. That's something I would have suggested if that. Then no one calls me and asks me if I want to consult in these films. I don't know why, but if they do, that's something I would suggest.
I think that's the next scene is Bianca asking Adonis, are you just going to stand there and read those tweets all day, or are you going to play with your fetus?
And then instead of throwing the letters, he just chucks his phone.
He throws his phone at Bianca's head. Then Bianca goes into a coma, and then he starts reading her poems that he wrote. And then she gets up and he says, if you don't want me mixing with Victor, I'll think of another way.
Oh, man, I just thought of something messed up. I don't know if I should say this since we're live, though.
No, you know what? We are apparently live streaming somewhere. I can't find where it is. I don't know if it's working. It's up to you.
Okay, this is totally off topic,
Okay.
but I was just thinking with him on the phone and her, because like she has hearing aids, right? And my dad has hearing aids, and they're fancy ones like she would have, and they're like Bluetooth capable. And so imagine if you were like watching porn or something on your phone, but then they hooked up to her hearing aids. I don't know. Never mind.
No, I like it. No, that's good. Be very careful where your Bluetooth is hooked up to. Yes.
Yes.
All right, so Bianca and Adonis are going home.
Cool.
T, please let me help you,
Let's
baby.
walk.
Wait, you have to go to the bathroom, bro.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the scene where Bianca wipes his bum.
He's like, you better fold and not crinkle, Bianca.
Please.
I
sit
said I
down.
got it.
Well, he is just in a tizzy there, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's in the mood. He's in the mood. He just doesn't want to help from nobody for nothing. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. Even my kids, even my fetus. I don't want to hear from it.
Well, getting back to UK Dave's email, actually, how he kind of gave Adonis a pass in the hospital, the raw emotion. I'm leaning that way, too. I'd be a grumpy asshole. And I
Well,
think,
we know that about you.
yes, yes. Like he said, you feel comfortable to be yourself around the people you love. And unfortunately, yourself could be a prick sometimes.
Yes, I know. We're often the worst of the people that we are the closest to because we let our guard down. We don't have to pretend, it's not a job interview. It's not the first date. So we kind of let our guard down.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he's going to the bathroom, and this is where he pees blood. I'm not going to watch. I hate stuff like this.
I don't remember this part.
So he's having difficulty opening up medication. He's peeing blood. He's in a lot of pain. Like I take no pleasure watching Adonis in pain. But we can see that he's in a lot of pain. Now, what's that? So Bianca got up to see her husband in the bathroom, obviously struggling, but then she left without saying anything.
I was going to point out that, she can hear pretty well
Yeah, same.
because she wasn't watching him. She could hear him in the bathroom.
She must have their hearing aids turned way up.
Yeah.
Well, actually, a thing about hearing is it's not always volume. Sometimes it's frequency. My dad, for example, if his hearing aids aren't in, especially, he can't hear a smoke alarm, no matter how loud it is.
Okay.
Wouldn't he take his hearing aids out at night, though, to sleep?
Yeah, so he can't hear an alarm clock or anything like that.
We just got a couple of things from our Discord. Louis says the post-fight shame Adonis has reminds him of this MMA fighter named Joseph Benavidez, who got absolutely destroyed and choked unconscious in front of his wife, who is an MMA reporter. So that had to be a massive blow to his ego at the time.
Indeed.
Usually he does the choking at night, you know what I mean?
It's funny, too, because she probably doesn't think less of him at all, right? Like, it's just in your own head. Mm-hmm. You take your insecurities and project them onto others.
Yeah. And Donald said as well that it's good seeing the effects for the after fight. We never see that at-home stuff that happens after a fight in the Rocky film. So this gives you some nice behind-the-scenes, the fighter's struggling at home, which we heard about in Creed Part 1, but now we're actually seeing it. So, yeah.
Like Ronnie's like, yeah, the worst part about a fight is the morning after.
Yeah,
you feel like you need a text and take you from the bed into the bathroom.
Right.
So that's an accurate description given what we see here.
Those early Rocky films, they're just different style of filming back then. They wouldn't have thought of doing this. They probably thought the audience might not want to see this, but it does give that realism of these guys are hurt. They're not able to like Rocky always seems to be, I'm good to go after a fight, in the ring. But now we're seeing that they're badly damaged.
Well, it's less explicit in Rocky, but there are some scenes like the very first one.
Right. Sure, the Rocky 2, yeah.
Well, the first Rocky, actually, after his church fight.
He also is at home and there's the ice on the.
Yeah.
He takes his bare hands of ice.
Beer bottle and puts his hands.
Oh, that's true. I guess, he did. Well.
And it just seems so.
That's true. We did see the
depressing because he doesn't even have things to take care of himself in his shitty apartment.
See here, this has got more moth and flies in it, you see. Who the hell cares?
Lately, it's like he hasn't really been himself.
Okay, so for our listeners, it looks like Bianca is talking to her mother-in-law, talking about Adonis. That's always great when the wife goes to the mother, starts talking crap about her husband.
Also, I kind of forgot about Felicia Rashad. She's another acting great that makes it hard for Michael B. to seem that good because she's amazing.
Awesome.
She can almost do no wrong in my view.
They were really lucky to have her in this film.
Very. Yeah, it was a great catch. I'm glad the original actress died, so we get Felicia Rashad.
You know what? Speaking of which, I listened recently to the rewatchables of Creed, one of the Creeds, and there were so many errors. I was yelling listening to it because the host, Bill Simmons, I'm not a fan. He's kind of annoying, but they said a lot of untruths, not on purpose, obviously. But one of which was that the original actress is still alive, and why didn't they get her?
Sorry, for which film?
Creed or Creed 2, I forget which one.
Okay, So Marianne, the actress that played Marianne, has passed away. She passed away. Right,
I know, but it's a professionally done podcast, and there were several errors that they made in recording.
Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Now you're gonna get me ranting about these other podcasts.
Sorry.
No, because they have big dollars behind it. They can do these big ads. I've heard them too. I've heard these big names, and they literally, because the person is popular, they can just spit out words. People listen, and it's. Sorry, I think this is one of my listeners, and I apologize. One of my listeners, I won't say his name, but I appreciate it because he's like, "Oh, you should watch the rewatchables on something." I think it was a movie that I reviewed recently on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast. And I was like, I don't want to listen to it. It's all glib and scripted, and I would say it's easy for them, but they just literally walk in with this high production value studio and let's crack wise about Cobra, and then they leave. And I think the rewatchables is such a podcast, just like you said, where they can make mistakes, but nobody cares.
Except for the people who really love the movie that they're talking about. And there were several times that I was like, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. I can't think of the other examples, but that was definitely one where it stood out to me.
They're the Bud Light of movie reviews.
Right.
For the small-time craft brewery that...
I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
I love the analogy, Kyle. Very good.
Nobody buys us, but the odd person that does goes, you know what? I like this. Good. I like this.
Or the neighborhood brewery, the neighborhood bar.
Yes.
That's what we are.
Want to take a shot? I'll take a shot.
Take a shot. Yeah.
And I get it, because he's going through a lot. He's just starting physical therapy, trying to get himself right. And he's distant. And disconnected. It's like nothing really matters to him right now, including me, which is new.
Listen, be there for him. Take care of him.
That's an interesting little scene there. So Adonis is in the swimming pool as we hear the conversation between the mother-in-law and Bianca going on about Adonis. Basically, yes, she's worried. He's distant, both physically and emotionally from his spouse. He doesn't seem himself. He is doing physical therapy. But nice little effect there that as Adonis goes under the pool, the voice goes underwater sounding of Marianne. Kind of an interesting little filming style. I thought that was good, unique.
I liked it too. That was really cool.
Give him your love.
So her advice is give him your love.
But also, you've got to realize he's in a place right now that only he can get himself out of.
With everything he's going through.
With everything he's going through, you've been in his corner every step of the way. He's a grown man. He's got to heal from the inside out. Trust me, I know. I've been there.
There's a metaphor there as Adonis sinks to the bottom of the pool. You could say he's hitting rock bottom.
I did like that Marianne doesn't just immediately take Adonis's side, that she kind of sticks up for Bianca. No, you're doing everything that you can do. This is his journey. He needs to deal with it himself.
I'm trying to think about how good this advice is. It seems like good. On the surface, I have no problem with it at all. And I think to some degree it's true. On the other hand, I think it's important to talk about your feelings and to have someone you can talk about. Although I suppose you have to wait until you're ready to do it. Maybe that's what Marianne is more trying to say, is you can't force him to deal with this in a time where he's not ready to. Once he's got to a place inside himself where he could talk about it with you, that's when you do it. You can't force it. But part of me doesn't like the idea that he's just kind of isolating, withdrawing with it himself, which is honestly something I think I do in that situation. Like whenever I get hurt, I don't want to talk to anyone and I don't want anyone to touch me or anything. So I'd probably act a lot like this, but I wonder, it almost is kind of like that stereotype that like men, we don't talk about our feelings, yada, yada, yada. So I'm a little bit mixed here. It depends what she means by all that.
I agree. I hear you. I think that, or at least the way that I took it was be there for him when he's ready to open up. Like let him know that you're there.
I'm going to play a little bit towards that she's giving good advice, or at the very least, she's at least approaching it as a place of real empathy. I think that's the key focus. Is she's saying, I had a championship fighter. I mean, literally is the dad of this individual, his father. So I've been married to a fighter. I've seen the defeats. I've seen the beatings. She's saying, it's not on you. He's a grown man. He's going to have to come out of this funk on his own. So you just love him. There's no advice you can give him. She says, love him, but understand this is something he's going to have to do on his own. So you're going to love him, be supportive, but there's no dialogue you can give him. There's no hey, snap out of it talk. He's in a real boxer's funk or fighter's funk. And it's probably common with these type of fighters who get their heads kicked in and they lose. And it must be a real funk to pull yourself out of I got to get strong again. He's probably afraid. He's probably embarrassed. He's whatever. I'm not a fighter. So I can imagine, though, this guy's on the center stage, world stage. He's lost a championship, embarrassingly so. Got hospitalized for it. So he's all types of messed up inside,
And she's no Adrian.
No. Adonis is traumatized, in essence. He's traumatized. He's physically, emotionally, and traumatized. Yeah, I think you're right, Ryan. I think your advice is generally good. I think in real life, he would eventually probably really benefit from talking to a professional. There are professionals out there who deal with athletes, too. Psychologists who, who know this specific thing, right? Even though lots of different people are traumatized, athletes are their own beast. As much as he's getting the physical therapy here, he probably would benefit a lot from a psychological therapy if he was willing to do it, which doesn't seem like he would be, to be fair.
So he just yelled out of frustration, anger under the pool there. Has anyone yelled underwater? It's always kind of fun. Has anyone done it out of fun or even anger? But no, you've never yelled underwater like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, there is something kind of weird about this scene, too. In order to sink to the bottom of a swimming pool, you usually have to let the air out of your lungs.
There's a few things I'm good at, but I'm actually a very good swimmer. I've been in water a lot. I swam like did all the swimming as a kid. It was one of the things like I was good at was swimming and manipulating myself in water. I'm one of those people that can just sink, rise up, do all that sort of stuff. So there's a way of just doing it, making your body dead weight or float at the top. And so, but yeah, you have to let your air out, but you have to leave enough in to do that yell. I'm surprised you guys have never done that for fun. Go underwater and just yell.
Well, I've never yelled, but I have let the air out of my lungs to get to the bottom of the pool. I sat on the bottom of the pool before.
That's fun.
And then I was thinking there, I'm like, where does he have the air to yell? Right.
Well, he's not quite empty. I think you can do it. I think you, especially him, he's a trained athlete. So, but yeah, you're right. It's a great effect for the film. Again, from our Discord, Louise says, to be fair, Apollo never got his ass kicked until the Drago fight. The stress Apollo went through after losing to Rocky is totally different than getting annihilated. So it's true. And then Donald says here, Ronda Rousey was suicidal after her first MMA loss.
That's a great point. I'm not a big MMA person, but I saw that fight. I've watched it a couple times after. That's a comparable ass whooping.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Her face was...
Yeah, and it was not close, that fight. She just got consistently beaten, and she got kicked in the head as the very last move. Ooh. And she was just kicking ass before that. She was unstoppable. And she was getting cocky. She's like, oh, I can beat up the men. And Holly Holm there just completely destroyed her.
She lost that eye of the tiger, didn't she?
She never got it back. But she's making money wrestling, or she did. Good for her.
Yeah.
So little scene here, tender moment, I think it's showing that Adonis is coming around a little bit. He's showing affection to the baby in her tummy and kiss the belly, and she asks, do you feel it move? And he says, yeah. And there's some tender music.
Do you remember feeling for the first time, feeling like for your first child, do you remember feeling the first time feeling them move?
It's gross.
You actually think that?
Yes, I do.
Wow. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Let me just say, though, and then you can make it nice. I'll say pregnancy is gross. It's all gross. Delivery is gross. Vaginal birth is gross. C-sections are gross. Babies are gross. How they enter the world's disgusting. It's nothing beautiful about it. Anyone that says it's beautiful, the pushing, the screaming, the blood, the feces, I hate it. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Carl.
You know what? First of all, I just want to let you know that I respect that point of view. I don't have that point of view, but I could see where you're coming from there. You're not, I won't say someone's wrong there because it's a matter of opinion, right? I saw births in health class. They show you in sex ed, they show you like a baby being born, at least when I was in school. And I thought that was disgusting. Then when I saw my own kids be born, I thought it was really cool. In fact, we did a home birth for my son was born in my living room.
You delivered a house?
Oh, really?
Yes.
In one of those inflatable pools?
No, just we had things set down to make it comfortable. But yeah, we had a home birth, and even my daughter was there, which I know is kind of weird.
No, it's special. Look, I know I might be the minority, and
that's fine.
I understand that babies are wonderful. Once they're all cleaned up with the guck and stuff, it's wonderful. But there's that guck on them and stuff, and it's like this white guck that dries on their face, and yeah, anyways. One quick story. So when my first child was born, I watched the whole thing, cut the umbilical cord, all that stuff like a father's supposed to do. Yeah, it's like cutting a rubber hose. When the baby was crowning, I kid you not, I turned to the doctor and I said, is this supposed to get through that? I was legitimately worried for my wife at the time. I couldn't believe it. There's no way. There's no way that opening can accommodate this beast.
Anyhow, the reason I mentioned this in the first place is I thought Ryan was going to agree with me, but I guess not. But in my opinion, feeling that baby move for the first time is so freaking cool because it feels real to me now. And as a dad, it's much more like this baby's less of a concept and more of a reality, especially when it's moving. I think that was really magical and cool. If you don't, that's totally fine. I'm not judging.
There is a body inside your belly moving around. You ever see those horror movies where the person pushes on like the skin or something trying to get out of some sort of trap? Sorry.
I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on this, my friend. I think we're
let us know.
Ends of the spectrum.
Send us an email, GTDWITHR. We're now the pregnancy podcast.
my God. So thankfully I've not given birth, and the things that Ryan said are all largely why. No, I have no business having children. I like animals more than I like people. Despite it literally being the most natural thing a person can do, it seems so unnatural. So I'll just say that. But then also, so I'm trying to straddle both opinions here. And what Kyle is saying, I feel like what is part of it that since the father has little to do with it, for the whole time the mother is pregnant. And so is that the time that you feel like finally like a part of it?
Because, you don't feel a connection with this baby.
Yeah.
Like you talk to women who have been pregnant and given birth and they feel this connection. They feel this thing growing inside of them. Mm-hmm. You don't feel that as a man, obviously. Right. And so when you feel it move, you're like, you feel a bit of a connection and it feels cool, at least to me. Yeah. The reason I was going to say this is because this is a good opportunity for Adonis to focus on something else. Mm-hmm. Maybe the most important things in life aren't being the champ or your ego or anything like that. It's like you're going to be a dad now. You have this baby coming. Your responsibility now is with this baby. Like this is a good opportunity for him for that to happen. And so I think that is good timing, I suppose, right? On his part.
It's a very optimistic way to look at it.
Highlights. All right, so now we're seeing Drake. I forgot we've seen Victor now. Thank you, Kyle. So that was all good stuff. And yeah, birth is the miracle of humans. Okay, so now we're seeing Victor. I guess we're seeing him kind of doing his title defenses here in a bit of a montage.
He doesn't have a title though.
Oh, right, that's right. Sorry. His fight after the title match. We're seeing, it says right here, highlights of Drago silencing critics tonight. So I guess he's done a couple fights. So maybe people are saying that, even though it was weird, why would there be critics? Other than the illegal hit, he's obviously a very competent fighter. So, but anyway, so I guess maybe they're saying he's fighting more professionally now and winning. So let's just see a little bit of these highlights here.
Or someone could have said Adonis was crap that night in the.
That's true.
If he was, which Adonis wasn't necessarily, but.
But so that's what the commentator said. Highlights of Drago silencing critics tonight. So we're seeing Adonis watching these highlights, as we as a viewer are as well.
For the devastating first-round knockout of Anthony Novak. Here's a post-fight interview with Max Kellerman.
Victor, here we are just months since your controversial loss to Adonis Creed. How does this win feel?
What loss?
Excuse me, from your disqualification to Adonis Creed. But how does this feel to you tonight?
I don't care. Creed must fight me.
And if he doesn't fight you?
Then he's no champion.
There you have it, Adonis. Challenge is on the table.
So does this remind you of?
Well, it reminds you both Rocky 3 and 2.
Yeah.
Both Apollo and Clubber calling out these guys. You're right, though. I think it's more like 3.
But you're right, too.
He's not a real champ if he's not going to take hard fights.
That's right. So you're right. It's 2 and 3 combined, which is fine. But this is normal. It's the fight world. The challenger is going to call out the champion. That's very normal. That's not just in the Rocky films. That's all fight champions. They kind of get taunted by the ones who are up and coming. And so he's saying he's ready to fight again. This time I won't get disqualified. And he's right. What loss? And I love how Max Kellerman changes this. Okay, the disqualification. Because he's right. He won the fight, but he lost due to a technicality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, DQ is a loss, right? Like Mike Tyson bit the ear, he got DQ'd. And he's seen as losing that fight. And,
technically a loss.
But he was losing that fight before he bit the ear.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, Victor.
You're right, though. But unlike Tyson in this case, Victor for sure was winning that fight. No one would question that.
Right.
So I could see Victor saying what loss. And Victor has no choice but to provoke Adonis.
Right.
Because Adonis naturally would not want to fight him, thinking he'd maybe lose. The only reason Adonis has to fight Victor is his ego and to satisfy the fan base. He has to provoke the fan base and say these comments to get at Adonis's ego, or else he's never getting a shot at the championship again.
Italian chicken.
Yeah.
But he turns the TV off. I get a little sick of this in movies or TV shows. It's so typical.
Of what?
I don't like him upsetting him, or so he just turns the TV off and now you're just like stewing mad. We see it too much.
You're right. It's kind of a trope. I hate that word. Tropes. The word trope is a trope, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, the way Mickey did it was the best, which is to throw his own soup on the floor. You can hear it hit that crack.
Yeah, bum.
Bum.
Yeah, bum.
Yeah, him throwing that soup and stuff onto his bed always stresses me out. Like, you just...
Yeah. That's not going to get clean. But he's just going to let it dry. a bit.
Okay, so you know what? I hate to cut this one short, but I think we should. Yeah, we should. We're already nearing the 50-minute mark. So, because this next sequence would be worth talking about as a whole. What do you guys think? It's where the Drago family dinner. Yeah. Okay. In fact, because
do you guys want to talk about like periods or something?
Yeah,
right
let's talk
now,
about periods, lactation, how to express milk.
Oh God! Oh,
my
that also
my
sounds
wife's a
horrifying.
lactation consultant, so I know by proxy more than I should.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Katie will guide you through it. Okay.
No, it's never gonna happen.
Have you ever tasted breast milk before?
All right, we'll leave that one offline.
According to friends, it tastes like melon juice.
Yeah.
The show, you guys watched that episode, right?
Oh, yes, I've seen every Friends episode, but I forgot that joke. Yeah. So Donald is in our Discord, and he was like, I thought I sent you guys an email. So he resent it. I don't think it came through. So I'm going to read it really quick as for the close of the show. Since he's in Discord, he sent us the email.
Yeah.
He already had it written, but I guess it never came through. He goes, Dear Ryan, Kyle, and Katie, Happy New Year. Thank you. In episode 11, you mentioned that you hadn't received new emails for a while, so I wanted to help break that cycle. I hope your other regulars write in too, and they did. So thank you for that, and continue doing so, guys. He says, great catch last episode by Katie. I've watched Creed 2 several times, but never noticed the commentary error until now. Thanks for going the distance podcast. To Kyle's point that the mistake actually helps the fight feel more realistic, I agree. He says, this is him speaking, I always loved when pro wrestlers flub a line in a scripted promo. Speaking of which, has anyone ever seen, what was his name? Oh, Booker T, when he's calling out Hulk Hogan? So he's getting all riled up, and I cannot say it. Just Google Booker T promo Hulk Hogan, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, the email goes on to say, it makes them feel like real humans getting caught up in an emotional moment. So again, watch that Booker T interview promo. Thus, you believe everything else that they say, too. Bill Murray's closing monologue in Scrooge has another great example of this. In the middle of his speech about becoming a better person, he starts to say he's not ready for the miracle before catching himself. Have you guys ever noticed that one? No. I will look to that the next time I watch Scrooge, which I only do during Christmas holidays, so we'll wait till the end of the year. He goes on to say, lastly, I have exciting news. Over the Christmas break, I got to review the first Rocky IV fan edit since the release of the director's cut. It's entitled Rocky IV Cold War, and it's edited by Driss Verlay. What? There's a fan edit out there? He says, how exciting it is the fan edits are already being put out. If someone's a huge Rocky IV fan, this is a great time to be alive, as I'm sure more edits will follow. I will provide you guys a link to watch Cold War with the editor's permission. Here's to a better 2022 for everyone. Keep punching. Donald, thank you. Oh, he did provide the link. Oh, it's a Google Drive. Oh, how exciting.
Cool. Yeah, I want to check it out.
That would be fascinating to watch. Okay, so I'm going to watch that.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, Donald. That's amazing. I'll send you guys the link too if you want. Would you want it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. But if anybody else wants that Google Drive link, send me an email, gtdwithrr@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you as well. Let's spread the word about this fan edit. Well, there we go, guys. That was a lot of fun. We're seeing Adonis starting, I would say, mature, but he's coming out of his funk a little bit. He kissed the baby, showing love to his wife, and so he might be ready to move on, even though at the end there we see him getting mad at Victor calling him out on TV. And again, next week's episode will be the Drago family dinner. I can't wait to see that.
With Ludmilla.
Yes. Kyle.
Ding, ding.